Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. This month we're learning about patience, which is waiting until later for something that you want now. It reminds me of a story that I heard from a friend of mine when we worked at a camp together. My friend told this story about when he was a kid in elementary school. One morning he didn't want to get up and get ready for school, so he kept hitting the snooze button over and over and over again on his alarm clock. His mom called upstairs to him and told him he needed to hurry up and get ready for school or else he was going to miss the bus. Well, after a few times of her yelling upstairs and a bunch of times of him hitting the snooze button, he finally got up and put his clothes on, and by the time he got his clothes on, it was time to go out for the bus. He didn't have time to pack a lunch, but his mom, realizing that he was running late, had made one for him. He also didn't have time to eat breakfast. He had to just kind of run downstairs and grab his lunch bag, and he barely made it to the bus stop in time. But he did make it. And he thought, all right, this is going to be a great day. Well, school started, and, well, he hadn't factored in that he was going to get hungry pretty quickly because he didn't eat breakfast. It wasn't long before his stomach was growling and he could hardly wait for lunch to arrive. When lunch finally did arrive, he was the first one to grab his lunch bag and get in line to go to the cafeteria and eat. When he got to the cafeteria, he sat down quickly and opened up his lunch bag right away and oh no, he smelled it. He closed his bag as quickly as he could, hoping no one else smelled what he did. And he started asking his friends around him if any of them would like to trade lunches with him. Well, nobody was going to trade lunches with him. They knew that if he wanted to trade his lunch, something was definitely wrong with it. So he opened his lunch bag back up and he smelled it again. It was warm tuna fish. He pulled the tuna fish sandwich out of the bag and he tried to pick it up and eat it, and the tuna fish had soaked through the bread and the bread just kind of folded over and tuna fish fell onto the cafeteria table, and he thought, there is no way I can eat this. He put the tuna fish sandwich back in the bag and felt around, and he felt a banana. And he thought, at least I have a banana that I can eat. And then he started to slide the banana out of the bag, and he saw that, oh no, the banana had turned brown, really brown, and it was soft and mushy, and he didn't want to eat the banana either, but he was really hungry, so he kind of peeled it open a little bit, but it just wasn't going to be for him that day. It was way too mushy. He ended up throwing his whole lunch away. He realized that probably ignoring the alarm clock and ignoring his mom telling him to get up was not such a good idea. And tomorrow he better get up on time and really put some effort into packing his lunch. Well, he sat all afternoon still super hungry because he hadn't eaten breakfast and now he hadn't eaten lunch. He could hardly wait for school to end, and sure enough, the bell did eventually ring and school was over, and he got on the bus and could hardly wait to get home. His bus stop came and he got off and he ran to his house, and when he got to the house, he could smell it. It was warm chocolate chip cookies. He didn't even have to go in the door. The windows were open and he could smell it outside the house. So instead of going in the front door of the house, he went around to the back door so that he could go straight into the kitchen and start eating chocolate chip cookies. Except he hadn't figured that his mom would be in the kitchen, still making more chocolate chip cookies. As Randy walked in that kitchen door, he was ready to grab the cookies, but as he was ready to grab, his mom was ready to say, "Randy, do not eat any chocolate chip cookies until after dinner." Randy thought, "No way. I'm starving. I've got to eat all of those cookies." But he knew he couldn't say that to his mom. So he smiled and looked at his mom and he said, "Yes, ma'am." But he leaned against the counter and he started thinking, "I can't wait till after dinner. I'm not that patient. I need to eat right now. I haven't had breakfast. I haven't had lunch." And while he's trying to figure out how he can have a chocolate chip cookie, he hears the washing machine. And in Randy's house, the washing machine was upstairs and way away from the kitchen. He thought, "Aha, that washing machine is going to stop running. And when it does, the buzzer's going to sound and my mom is going to go upstairs and move that laundry to the dryer. And that will be my perfect chance to eat chocolate chip cookies. She'll never know and I won't get in any trouble." Well, sure enough, the buzzer sounded on the washing machine. The clothes were done and Randy's mom started to leave the kitchen to go upstairs. Right before she left the kitchen, she looked at Randy and she said, "Don't eat any chocolate chip cookies until after dinner." He just nodded his head at her and smiled big and said, "Yes, ma'am." His mom headed out of the kitchen and upstairs. As soon as she was out of kitchen, out of sight, he started to eat chocolate chip cookies. He shoveled them into his mouth as fast as he could. He had eaten 2 or 3 and then all of a sudden he realized he was really thirsty. He went to the refrigerator and got the milk out and, well, he was so thirsty he didn't even pour it into a cup. He just drank it right out of the carton. And then he quickly put the lid back on and put the milk back in the refrigerator and went back to eat more chocolate chip cookies. But when he got there, oh no! The cookies had left like marks on the counter where they had been. He knew that if his mom came downstairs and saw those marks on the counter, she was bound to know that he had eaten chocolate chip cookies and he was going to get into so much trouble. So he quickly started rearranging all of the cookies on the counter, trying to cover up all of the spots. Just as he was finishing that, he heard his mom coming back to the kitchen. He quickly jumped and turned around, facing the entryway into the kitchen and smiled big. His mom looked at him, and you know how you kind of look guilty sometimes when you've done something you shouldn't have, and you're afraid of getting caught? Well, that look was on his face. He looked at his mom with that guilty smile, and she recognized it, and she said, "Did you eat any chocolate chip cookies?" And he said, "No, ma'am." And she said, "Are you sure you didn't eat any chocolate chip cookies?" And he said, "No, ma'am." Well, she went over to the refrigerator to get herself a glass of milk. And when she opened the top of the milk and got ready to pour it out, she noticed that there were crumbs in the milk. And she said, "There's crumbs in this milk, chocolate chip cookie crumbs. I wonder how those got there." And he said, Oh, I know how they got there. The cat jumped up on the counter and started to eat some chocolate chip cookies and then got thirsty and went over to the refrigerator and started meowing. So I got the milk out and I took the lid off and I just kind of lowered the container a little bit so the milk would, run to the top and the cat could drink some milk right out of the container. The cat must have gotten some chocolate chip cookie crumbs in the milk. Well, Mom decided she didn't want any milk. She put it back in the refrigerator and she looked at him and said, "You have some chocolate on your front teeth. It looks like melted chocolate from the chocolate chip cookies. Do you know how that got there?" Uh-oh. He knew that he was probably in trouble. He was thinking fast and he said, the cat must have, the cat kissed me after I gave it some milk. I must have gotten chocolate on my mouth from the cookie that the cat ate. Mom didn't buy it. She said, "You've been lying to me, haven't you? You disobeyed me and ate chocolate chip cookies and then lied to me and said you didn't eat cookies when you had." And he said, "Yes, ma'am." And wow, did he get in trouble. And there were a bunch of things he did wrong. One, he didn't get up when he was supposed to in the morning, when his alarm told him to and when his mom told him to. Two, he disobeyed his mom. Three, he lied to his mom, and well, a lot of the disobedience and lying came from not being patient and waiting until after dinner to eat the chocolate chip cookies. He learned a whole lot that day. He learned that he better get up when he's supposed to in the morning. And he learned that he needed to obey his mom and be honest and be patient and wait when you're told to. What about you? How do you do at obeying your parents? How do you do with telling the truth? How do you do with being patient? Why don't you talk to your parents about those things? Talk about it as a family. And talk about how you could maybe work at doing better in some of those things, or if you do them really well, just continue on with that. I hope you have a great rest of the day.